Kyle Richards shares where she stands in Mauricio's split today. Kyle Richards and Mauricio Umansky have officially been separated since 2023, but things are still good between them. The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills cast member and her estranged husband have been open about how they have been handling their split and how they are setting an example for their children. Kyle spoke with Briefing on Bravo recently, where she admitted that she and Mauricio try to set a good example for their 4 children in their separation. "We're doing the best we can, and I think our kids feel that," she said. She admitted that she hopes that their daughter, Alexia Umansky, who is getting married later this year, can learn some lessons from their marriage. "She's grown up with her mom and dad, seeing our marriage, and obviously seeing what we're going through now, but she always saw a positive image of what that is," Kyle admitted. "And now, I think she's seeing a positive image of what being separated can look like," she continued. Kathy Hilton shares her hopes for Kyle Richards and Mauricio Umansky's future. Kyle's older sister, Kathy Hilton, does have hopes for the couple to possibly reconcile. Kathy recently spoke to Briefing on Bravo, where she admitted that she doesn't like change, and therefore doesn't like the idea of Kyle and Mauricio separating for good. "Mauricio's, our family, the children, all of that," she explained. "To me, they are still children, and everybody wants their mom and dad together. But you never know. I think in life there's always hope." Kyle Richards opens up about her regrets from her split with Mauricio Umansky during Part 3 of the Real Housewives Season 14 reunion. Kyle admitted that she's unaware if Mauricio wants to get back together with her. "I know he regrets things that have happened that got us to this place," she said. "I don't know if he wants to get back together because he has never said that." She continued, admitting that she has her own regrets from their marriage and what has transpired during their separation. "I mean, I have regrets for both of us allowing us to get to this place," she continued. "I wish that we had communicated better when things started bubbling." Mauricio Umansky speaks out about his relationship with Kyle Richards. Recently, Mauricio stated that there was love between him and Kyle. Briefing on Bravo caught up with a real estate agent in May, where he offered a look inside their relationship. "We talk all the time," he said, stating that things are amazing between them. "I love her. Where the heart still lives." A story of Kyle Richards and Mauricio Umansky, the house that love built. The white stucco walls of the Bel Air mansion held more than luxury and glamour. They held decades of laughter, late-night talks over wine, whispers of love, and the echo of little feet running down hallways. Now, they held silence. Not the kind of silence that screams, but the kind that settles, a pause, a breath, a space between 2 heartbeats. Kyle Richards stood in the master bedroom doorway, watching the breeze play with the sheer curtains. In her hands, she held a photograph. It was taken 12 years ago in Cabo. Mauricio was grinning, his hair tousled from the ocean breeze, and she was laughing, carefree and sun-kissed. That photo had always made her smile. Today, it made her ache. "Do you think we'll ever be that version of us again?" she whispered, though no one was there to answer. Conversations over coffee. Despite their official separation in 2023, Kyle and Mauricio had made a quiet pact. Respect above all. Kindness always. Honesty, even when it hurts. It wasn't always easy, but it was what their children deserved. Sunday mornings hadn't changed much. They still met for coffee in the kitchen if they were both in town, chatting like old friends. On this morning, the sun spilled golden light across the marble countertop as Kyle stirred almond milk into her cup. Mauricio walked in, hair damp from an early surf session. "Morning," he said, smiling. Kyle looked up, her expression soft. "You still smell like the ocean." He laughed. "That's a good thing, right?" She nodded. "Always." They talked about Alexia's upcoming wedding, centerpieces, guest lists, the catering menu. But underneath it all was an unspoken question. What are we now? The image of love. Kyle's conversation with Briefing on Bravo had made headlines, but it was more than a PR move. It was a reflection of her truth. She knew the world was watching. Fans had their opinions, tabloids their theories. But at the center of it all were four young women who looked to her and Mauricio to understand love. Alexia asked me if I think marriage is worth it. Kyle confided in her therapist later that week. And what did you tell her? The therapist asked gently. I told her yes, Kyle said, voice trembling. Because even with the pain and confusion, I still believe in what Mauricio and I had. A wedding and a wish. Alexia's wedding was a quiet dream set in Napa. Lavender fields, string lights, and the soft hum of acoustic guitar surrounded them as vows were exchanged beneath a canopy of blooming wisteria. Mauricio walked Alexia down the aisle, and Kyle watched with a bittersweet smile. After the ceremony, as the sun dipped low, casting gold across the vineyards, Kyle found herself standing beside Mauricio. He handed her a glass of champagne. She looked beautiful, he said, eyes still on their daughter. Kyle nodded. She's happy. That's all that matters. They stood in silence for a moment before Mauricio spoke again. You know, I've been thinking about us a lot. Kyle turned to him. And? I still love you, he said simply. But I don't know if we can go back. She looked into his eyes, searching for something she wasn't even sure existed anymore. Maybe we're not supposed to go back, she whispered. Maybe we're supposed to go forward, even if it's not together. Kathy's hope. Kyle's sister, Kathy Hilton, was nothing if not protective. Family meant everything to her, and she didn't hide her sadness over Kyle and Mauricio's separation. I don't like change, she admitted during her own interview with Briefing on Bravo. I don't like seeing my baby sister hurting. But she also knew Kyle was strong. Over dinner one evening, Kathy took Kyle's hand across the table. You know, I still pray for you too. Kyle smiled. I know, and I love you for it. I just want you to be happy, Kyle, whether that's with Mauricio or not. Kyle squeezed her hand. That's all I want too. The reunion. Filming the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills reunion had been one of the hardest days of Kyle's life. Being on camera and being raw, vulnerable, it wasn't easy, especially when Andy asked about regrets. I don't know if he wants to get back together, she had said. He's never said those words. Mauricio, watching the episode weeks later from his LA apartment, felt a pang of guilt. He paused the episode and picked up his phone. He typed and deleted a dozen messages before settling on just one word. Dinner? Kyle responded almost immediately, sure. That night in Malibu. They met at a small restaurant in Malibu where the waves nearly kissed the edge of the outdoor patio. It was quiet, intimate. No cameras, no fans, just two people who had once been everything to each other. They talked about the girls, about their careers, about the silence that had grown between them before the split. You used to tell me everything, Kyle said, tracing the rim of her glass. I didn't know how to, Mauricio admitted. I was afraid that if I told you how lost I was feeling, you'd think I was giving up. You should have trusted me enough to let me help. They sat in silence for a long time until Kyle whispered, Do you regret it? He didn't have to ask what it was. I regret not fighting harder before it was too late. An unexpected turn. After that night, they started spending more time together, not romantically, but as two people still deeply tied to one another. Family dinners, walks with the dogs, late-night phone calls when the world felt too heavy. And then one evening, after a long charity event in Beverly Hills, Mauricio dropped Kyle off at her house. As she got out of the car, he said, I miss being your home. She paused, heart catching in her chest. I miss being yours too. Neither of them knew what that meant, but neither of them walked away from the idea. Redefining love, Kyle had learned, wasn't always about the fairy tale. Sometimes it was about forgiveness, about seeing someone at their worst and loving them anyway. She didn't know what the future held, but she knew this. She and Mauricio had rewritten the script of what separation looked like. They had chosen grace, chosen understanding, chosen to walk through the pain instead of around it. And in doing so, they'd shown their daughters that love could bend without breaking, that families could evolve, that two people could still choose each other in a different way. Today, Kyle Richards lives in a home filled with light and peace. Her daughters visit often. Mauricio comes by for family dinners, still jokes with the girls, still steals glances at Kyle when he thinks she isn't looking. They are not officially back together, but they are not fully apart either. When asked again by Briefing on Bravo where she stands today, Kyle answers with clarity. We're not what we were, but we're not lost. We're evolving, and that's okay. There's still love. That hasn't changed. And perhaps, in the end, that's what matters most.